American housing is in crisis. Right now, up to 12 million Americans are behind an average of $5,800 on rent and risk eviction.
Wait, weren't your policies supposed to prevent that 12 years before you made this video?
Even before the pandemic, in places like New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco, median rents for even one-bedroom apartments could approach $2,500 a month or more.
Oh, you mean places where you Nimrods are in charge.
The Harvard Center for Housing Studies warns of a new normal for housing in the United States, in which nearly half of all renter households spend almost a third of their income on rent.
Of course, anyone who actually knows anything about budgeting, which of course leaves out socialists, will tell you that, traditionally, you figure on spending half your income on rent or mortgage, so a third is actually doing pretty good.
At the root of all of this suffering is the fact that in this country, housing is treated as a commodity, not a right. It's a consumer product, just like clothes or cars, that private businesses can sell on the market to make a profit.
Then how come it's worse in the places where you yokels are in charge, where it is considered a right? What do you think happens when you don't let the free market work? Look at the links below and you'll see an article entitled, How San Francisco Makes It Insanely Hard to Build Housing. Spoiler alert, it's all socialism. Like Bob Tillman, who owned a laundromat and wanted to replace it with housing instead. People protested until they were blue in the face, delaying it for years until the owner caved. And those exact same individual protesters were, at the same time, protesting for the right to cheap housing. Stuff like that is the reason why new housing permits in San Fran were cut in half over the past 10 years. With only something like 3,000 new units to be approved this year, despite the high demand the whole country is experiencing. All of that means that San Fran has the highest average building cost in the world. That is the inevitable result of what you're calling for in this very video.
Why do so many people end up homeless? It's not because there aren't enough homes to go around. There are plenty of empty homes. No, it's because housing people is not the primary goal of developers or landlords. Their goal, simply put, is to make a profit.
Have you even thought about this for 2 seconds? How are they going to turn a profit if their housing units go unutilized?
And it's much more profitable to build luxury apartments for the rich than decent homes for the poor.
No, it's possible because only the luxury apartments can bring in enough money to turn a profit to begin with. After things like zoning, inclusionary fees, price controls, permits, mandatory studies of all sorts, and local regulations driving up the costs. Tillman is another good example here. He was trying to make low-rent housing. The plan was for 75 units with 14.5% below market rates. People were protesting it and simultaneously protesting for affordable housing.
As a result, we have plenty of housing for the rich, but poor and working class people don't have nearly enough on the market.
That's because of NIMBYs, who are almost always on the left, who screech for housing for the poor unless it's built near them.
It might be profitable for landlords and developers, but it's not efficient or beneficial for the rest of society.
Just knock it off with the profitable for landlords thing. Things like year-long delays can destroy a project, leaving developers holding the bag for all the money they've put into it. And that creates a chilling effect. What you don't see are the people who don't even try to build housing because they're too afraid, with very good reason, that that'll happen to them too. Mamdani then spends several minutes talking about Vienna's housing starting in 1919. Without going into the horrible economy they had afterward. About the only reason they had enough housing was that people were moving away from Vienna to go elsewhere.
That is how the majority of people in Vienna enjoy something that's considered almost utopian here in New York. Affordable housing that isn't just cheap, but desirable.
Oh yeah, Mamdani is a New York assemblyman, another place where socialists have ruined the housing market. So I put in another link about New York. It goes over how New York's public housing system failed almost from its founding in the 1930s during the progressive heyday. And now, the whole system is crumbling. Literally. They have major problems of rats, mold, broken water heaters, leaks, faulty elevators, cracked sidewalks, and many others. And something like 90% of units will no longer be cost-effective to repair by 2027. And to this day, poor children in New York's public housing have tested positive for lead due to the city falsifying lead paint inspection reports. Of course, their tactic is to blame someone else, in this case the feds, for cutting $2.7 billion in housing support since 2001. But the system needs $31.8 billion, so it's hard to see how that's the problem. As the article points out, it'd be easier to just cut each public housing resident a check for their share of that money, which is just under $80,000 each, so they can go and find private apartments and then tear down the existing buildings and sell the properties to developers. As always with socialists, they make grand plans, and when they fail, they disinvest, then cover it up, then blame someone else. It's the same story every single time it's tried. I wonder why morons like Mamdani think that housing is more affordable in areas where they aren't in control.
If we want to end the housing crisis, the solution has to be moving toward the full decommodification of housing.
No, the solution is to release all these bogus government controls and let the price mechanism work. Again, socialists show how much they don't understand basic economics. If you want to make something cheaper and more plentiful, you have to increase the supply, and that means reducing the costs involved in creating it. It means getting rid of the things that disincentivize even determined developers like Tillman from building new housing. You don't need any of your socialist crap! Just get out of the way!
We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership.
Oh yeah, 'cause that's worked so well in the past. The tragedy of the commons is real, folks, and you ignore it at your own peril. Well, not your peril, Mamdani, since you won't be feeling the effects in your nice, rich, plush home. It will, as usual, be the poor who suffer. And then you'll try to blame it all on other people. Typical socialist scum. So thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, and go to donate.bogosity.tv to keep me doing what I do. And check out all the great content here, like this video selected just for you.